I think if he comes back to Alabama next year, makes no money, and re-aggravates this injury that is, very
It's all for naught.
serious,
Yeah.
yeah, it could be, then
Well,
exactly, it's
I
pointless.
have a counterpoint to that, just to be devil's advocate here.
Let's hear it.
Two words: Josh Rosen. You do not want to be Tua and come out and be rehabbing and not be 100% athletic. Go to a franchise, not pan out, because teams, after what Kyler Murray just happened, teams are copycats. They will start to do this more because it is indicative, especially before the new CBA when things are going to change. This is going to happen more so that they don't get stuck with a quarterback that they end up having to pay a fifth-year option or getting into the inflated part of his rookie salary, because quarterbacks are the most expensive position to draft in the first round, even when they're in the late of the first round, just because they're quarterbacks. They're paid more regardless. Like Lamar Jackson at 32 is still getting paid a hell of a lot more than any other 32nd overall pick would have gotten paid because he's a quarterback. So, yeah, if I'm Tua, I know everybody's going to talk about just like you guys said, but at the same note, after what happened with Josh Rosen, when you've got a crunch time, you've got a season and a half, 2 years of this CBA before it gets done, teams are going to move on from guys you watch that do not pan out quick enough before they have to pay them because it worked out well. I'm not saying this is the rule or whatever. I'm just saying, again, I'm a trends guy. This is the trend, especially when you have an accelerated thing with the end of the CBA coming. If I'm Tua, I look at that and I say, I don't want to put myself in that situation because look at what happened to Rosen. He's not even getting a fair shake at this point. And I don't know if he can play or not, but he's on two terrible teams.
So I'm going to counter to that as well. He took out an insurance policy that he had on himself when he had gotten injured if he doesn't make the NFL draft this year. So basically, if he goes ahead and stays at Bama, then he recoups millions of dollars because of his injury in going into the draft. He had that on himself. So it's not like he's losing out on money because he would have that.
See,
I found that out the other day.
Yeah, and that's becoming more and more popular too because of guys like I know people probably don't remember him, but remember the South Carolina running back Marshawn Lattimore,
Oh yeah,
I do.
projected
yes.
to be the number one overall pick, which was just in this day and age, what
Before
the
his
hell?
leg became a
And
puppet
then
string. Yeah.
boom, and he comes back early, is doing really well, and then the other knee goes, and he ends up being like at bottom of the fourth round pick and never plays. Like, yeah, and got nothing. And so he goes from probably going to be one of the highest picked running backs in the modern era to getting bupkis. I mean, he made a few $100,000 because of his rookie salary or whatever, but he never hit the field, never actually. And I'm not saying it's on him. That's just it's a sad story and an example of what these agents and players look
Of
at,
course.
when they're going about this kind of stuff.
Yeah. Also, I've got one more thing to add on before we get to the Fantasy Files pregame show. Um, so, Run CMC is the golden boy of the family. Well, good old black sheep Max McCaffrey has been suspended second time for 10 games, undisclosed reason. Sounds like old daddy Ed McCaffrey is swiping some stuff under the rug with the NFL. Hey, just suspend him. Don't tell why. Whatever. Move on. So, all I see at this year's Thanksgiving table with CMC and Max McCaffrey. He looks at Max and goes, I only have one son. Just
Okay,
saying.
no, you're getting a fail award for that. That's bad. That's so
Why?
wrong.
I
How do
like
you
that.
have?
Because you know that
He
is
had a
bad.
4-game suspension, undisclosed. Now a 10-game suspension, undisclosed. You're telling me old daddy Ed McCaffrey doesn't have his hooks into this, saying, "Hey, don't tell him what he did. I don't care
Okay,
what it is.
this is
Just
going to
suspend him."
be a rabbit hole I'm going to open, but we're not going to jump down because it's important it came through, whatever. It's breaking news from ESPN. Well, not really breaking news, but a new thing. Surprise, surprise, it says Cap is not receiving any interest from NFL teams. No NFL
I just
teams
read
have
that.
called Colin Kaepernick since his November 16th workout. Again, I'm not going to get down this a little too much, but it is news, so we want to comment on it a little bit. It's not surprising when, again, I will say this shortly. The NFL is at fault for being assholes. But Colin Kaepernick is not the only player the NFL is assholes to. They're assholes to them all. Excuse my English. But at the same note, he also did the whole, oh, well, I'm going to take my ball and go here thing. And then at a press conference right after that, he sits up there and like shakes his finger like he's the NFL's daddy. Guys, I don't know about you. I don't want to get into this whole other thing because it comes across as I hate the guy or whatever because it's really for football. But because I don't hate the guy. I really don't. Like, it comes across as that. I know when I rant and I get all excited, but I don't hate the guy. I have no ill will against him. I'm talking about his actions and that kind of thing. And I mean, you can't be surprised that these millionaires that want people to play it their way, or billionaires, I should say, want to play their way or the highway, that when he does that and then shakes his finger at him afterwards, like, shame on you and it's your fault I'm not playing. Again, there's every person that's not a professional athlete can relate to this, guys. The rest of us have to go to work or work for people for the most part and put up with crap and do things and keep our mouths shut to be employed and get a paycheck. At some point, I am usually always on the player side, but at some point too, they have to realize that they are employees. And that sometimes, even though they have a union, and there's a lot of other unions, other people that work for unions, my mom worked for a union, she couldn't do things like that because even the union can only do so much. And so sometimes you got to realize that if everybody or the majority of people get treated this way or have to deal with this, you can't. And I'm not saying you can't try to change, but there's only so much that can be done when you have a CBA and stuff like that and can be expected. Sometimes you just got to play the game, you know? You got to play the game, otherwise you're on the outside looking in. And that's kind of, in a nutshell, that's how I feel in a more calm and understanding manner without getting angry and ranting and getting taken out of context. That's basically what I feel like happened to Colin Kaepernick. He thought that he was going to take whatever you want to feel about the kneeling thing. He thought he could take that and parlay it into somehow forcing the NFL to change the way they operate, and he's been unsuccessful in that. I don't know if that's an easier way of trying to look at it without getting too technical and all the arguments, because I'm trying to avoid that. But, I mean, that's kind of my take on it.
I've changed my position on Kaepernick. I was all for his workout, and then I went back and watched the end of it, his comments in his interview of, hey, this is what scared teams away right here, guys. When he had his workout, it should have been at that. It should have been, hey, thanks for coming. That's it. Not, hey, these 32 owners shouldn't be scared of signing me. Like, he's calling out NFL teams. He shouldn't be doing that. Like, that, for me, solidified, okay, this is all publicity stunt again. He tried to say, yeah, I'm out here doing this workout for this cause, blah, blah. He's still doing that. He needs, if he wants back in the NFL, show you want back in the NFL. Not add on all the extra crap on top. So I changed my stance on it. I'm sick of this situation now. He had his chance, and he changed the workout. NFL and him didn't agree on something. And then next thing you know, he's calling out owners. I can't deal with that. I'm sorry. It's enough is enough. Either he wants in or he wants out. He's already got his big settlement money. What else does he want?
Yeah, I agree. Seems like he wants the best of both worlds. He wants to
exactly
get signed by a team and be seen as a martyr by everyone who's been supporting him and like his cause, and not just his cause obviously, but a cause so far. And it's just not going to work that way. You either take the pill, tuck your tail, and get signed by the NFL, and which may not even be a possibility before and now, especially after the workout. But those were his choices, and he wanted both.
Well,
okay. What was that, Dave?
Go NFL ahead. Owners aren't going to want that with the circus. NFL owners are not going to want that with the circus behind him. If he had left out all those comments, they would have proved there's no other circus behind it because he's not looking for anything else. With him making those comments, he's still looking for something else. That's the problem. Is he, like you said, he wants his cake and he wants to eat it too. No, either you want your cake or you're going to eat it. Pick one, Colin. Enough is enough, man. We respect your talent. I would love to have you back in the NFL and watch you play, but enough is enough, man. You got your settlement money. You can do this off the field, but don't. Come on, and it's enough.
Well, I think we would all agree. I think we're all in agreement here, just to be clear for anybody that, might be getting worked up, that they're really passionate. Because, look, I'm passionate about stuff.
Breaking news.
But I know, hold on, just 1 second. 1 second. I want to say this 1 second. We're not exonerating the NFL as if they're innocent and don't do anything wrong or aren't bendable or willing to compromise here. We're not claiming that like we're attacking Cap and saying you didn't handle the situation correctly and they did. I at least for me, even in my previous rants, I never want to come across as that if I forgot to say that before when I was all worked up and in pain and having one of my moments. But I am not exonerating them. They definitely have not been the type of employer that has stepped away and looked at a situation and tried to come to some sort of compromise to avoid all this negative and circus crap that's gone on. They have helped string it along and add to it in their own respective manner as well. Just
breaking news. Jason Garrett adds that Giants are preferred one of his top destinations after this contract year, and the Giants have interest in him. So, ball's in your court, Jerry.
Why is that being reported? I don't get
for
that.
real.
Because
what's the deal?
Garrett's rep or Garrett expressed interest in the Giants. Basically, he's letting Jerry know either you want me again next year or I'm moving on.
Wow, that's pretty ballsy for Mr. Happy Hands.
Jason, yeah, that's it. You know what? I applaud him for that because
he
he's always done
everything.
what Jerry's wanted. He's the dog that gets his belly scratched, get the treat. He's done. No, really. Yes, the clapper is always like, okay, Jerry, you got it. I'll do what you want to do. Now it's like, I've had enough, Jerry. Either I'm going to New York or you keep me. I like it.
Honestly, though, okay, here's me as a regular man talking about a guy who has a full plate that I'll never understand. I know this. But compared to other NFL coaches, what does he do? He doesn't run the plays. That's Kellen Moore. The defense belongs to someone else as well. He doesn't keep players out of trouble. We've seen that with Zeke. We've seen that with basically everyone they've drafted on the defensive line. So, Jason Garrett, what can you point to and say, this is why I should keep my job? The record hasn't been that great. They've been relevant, but never made a playoff run. They, had their game against Seattle last year and then were out against LA. So, I don't know. I don't see why you'd want to keep the guy around anyway. But amen to him. Good for him.
More things to unlock as a coach. I mean, Jerry's literally hamstrung him on what he can do too. I mean, we don't know what Jason Garrett's capable of because
that's fair.
Jerry wants a DC here. He wants an offensive coordinator here. He wants a QB coach that has as much power. Literally, Jason's like, Jerry, what am I supposed to do? You clap. That's it, son. You clap. I feel like if he goes to New York, that could open up a lot more of his coaching ability because he played QB. He has the knowledge on how to operate that position, and it could be good for Daniel Jones. And right. I mean, they still have weapons. They still have weapons. And Shepard, Ingram, Tate, Barkley. I mean, Daniel Jones. They just got to put an offensive line in front of him. Get a couple more pieces there. They could do that in the draft this year. It might be a good fit. And plus, it would give him more motivation to go back and try to beat Jerry.
Yeah, I mean, are we just assuming they don't want Pat Shurmur back? Aren't we putting the cart before the horse here?
Well, we're seeing what Pat Shurmur has done this year and last year. Yeah, it's not pretty.
We'll see.
The Bears are predicted to win over the Giants with Mitchell Bustisky. That's how much Pat Shurmur's showing this year.
That's just home field advantage.
No, the Chicago field doesn't have any home field advantage. Kidding me? Come on now. Get out of here.
I should have thrown them in that dome poll question, but I didn't.
Okay. Let's start Fantasy Files pregame show, man.
Let's take a short break here, and then we will come back and get to Dillon's actual part of his show since we took over the first half hour here. My Lord, Dave, we overdid it.
I've been having fun.
And if you haven't had enough of our banter tonight, you want to visit NFL Addictions on Facebook.com for all of your NFL banter and chatter. It's not a trash talk site, so keep it clean and keep it cordial. That's NFL Addictions.